A meeting of titans, Trump and Zelensky on the world stage. The upcoming meeting between Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky is a geopolitical event of significant magnitude. It comes at a crucial juncture in the ongoing war in Ukraine and in the lead-up to the 2024 U.S. presidential election. Trump has expressed skepticism about U.S. involvement in the Ukraine conflict. Zelensky is steadfast in defending his nation's sovereignty. This meeting represents a clash of perspectives and a potential turning point in the narrative of the war. The stakes are high, the implications profound. The backdrop of the 2024 U.S. presidential election adds complexity to the encounter. The world awaits his words with keen anticipation. The outcome could influence the course of the war and U.S. foreign policy. The Russia-Ukraine war, a conflict that erupted in February 2022, has sent shockwaves across the globe. It has destabilized international relations, disrupted global supply chains, and triggered a humanitarian crisis of immense proportions. Millions have been displaced from their homes, cities have been reduced to rubble, and the specter of nuclear escalation looms large. The conflict represents a stark reminder of the fragility of peace in the 21st century. It has exposed the fault lines in the international order and challenged the assumptions upon which global security is built. The war has also underscored the interconnectedness of the world, demonstrating how regional conflicts can have far-reaching global consequences. The economic repercussions of the war have been particularly severe, driving up energy prices, exacerbating food insecurity, and contributing to inflationary pressures worldwide. The conflict has also exposed vulnerabilities in global supply chains, highlighting the dependence of many countries on Russia and Ukraine for essential commodities. The humanitarian crisis unfolding in Ukraine is a tragedy of immense proportions. Millions have fled their homes in search of safety, seeking refuge in neighboring countries or internally displaced within Ukraine. The war has caused widespread suffering, leaving countless individuals in desperate need of humanitarian assistance. Donald Trump's America First foreign policy doctrine has been a defining characteristic of his political career. This approach emphasizes prioritizing U.S. national interests above all else, often questioning the value of international alliances and commitments. In the context of the Ukraine war, Trump's America First stance has translated into skepticism about the extent of U.S. involvement in the conflict. Trump has repeatedly questioned the wisdom of providing extensive military and financial aid to Ukraine, arguing that such support drains resources that could be better used at home. He has also expressed concerns about the potential for escalating the conflict and drawing the U.S. into a direct confrontation with Russia. His position reflects a deep-seated skepticism about the role of the U.S. as a global policeman. Trump's critics argue that his America First approach undermines U.S. credibility on the world stage and emboldens adversaries like Russia. They contend that withdrawing support for Ukraine would send a dangerous signal to other potential aggressors and weaken the international order. They maintain that U.S. leadership is essential to maintaining global stability. Trump's supporters, on the other hand, believe that his focus on American interests is a necessary corrective to decades of misguided foreign policy. They argue that the U.S. has been overly involved in foreign conflicts and that it's time to prioritize domestic needs. They see Trump's skepticism about Ukraine aid as a reflection of his commitment to putting America first. Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, has emerged as a symbol of resilience and defiance in the face of Russian aggression. Since the beginning of the war, he has tirelessly rallied international support for his country, pleading for military assistance, financial aid, and diplomatic pressure on Russia. His leadership has been instrumental in galvanizing global support for Ukraine. Zelensky has repeatedly emphasized the importance of maintaining Ukraine's territorial integrity and sovereignty. He has argued that the war in Ukraine is not just a regional conflict, but a battle for democracy and freedom against authoritarianism. He has called on the international community to stand with Ukraine in its fight against Russian aggression. Zelensky's impassioned pleas for assistance have resonated with leaders and citizens around the world. His unwavering commitment to defending his country has earned him widespread admiration and respect. His leadership has been crucial in mobilizing international support for Ukraine. Zelensky's communication skills have also been a key asset in his efforts to rally international support. He has effectively used social media and traditional media platforms to communicate directly with audiences around the world, sharing updates on the war and appealing for assistance. His ability to connect with people on a human level has been instrumental in garnering support for Ukraine. Section 5. The American Divide, Ukraine Aid Under Scrutiny. The issue of providing aid to Ukraine has become divisive in American politics. While there is bipartisan support for Ukraine's defense, there are deep divisions about U.S. involvement. Some argue for moral obligation and defending democracy, while others worry about the cost and domestic needs. The debate reflects broader divisions on U.S. global role. Section 6. Biden's Ukraine Policy, a transatlantic tightrope walk. The Biden administration has pursued a policy of unwavering support for Ukraine, providing substantial military and financial assistance to help the country defend itself against Russian aggression. This support has been a cornerstone of Biden's foreign policy, reflecting his commitment to transatlantic unity and the defense of democracy. The administration has worked closely with European allies to coordinate a unified response to the crisis. Biden's approach to the Ukraine conflict has been praised by many as a demonstration of American leadership and resolve. Supporters argue that U.S. assistance has been crucial in enabling Ukraine to resist Russian advances and maintain its independence. They see Biden's policy as essential to deterring further Russian aggression and preventing a wider conflict. However, Biden's Ukraine policy has also faced criticism from some quarters. Critics argue that the administration's focus on Ukraine has diverted attention and resources from other pressing global challenges, such as climate change and the rise of China. They also express concerns about the potential for escalating the conflict and drawing the U.S. into a direct confrontation with Russia. The Biden administration has sought to strike a balance between supporting Ukraine and avoiding direct military intervention. The U.S. has provided significant military aid to Ukraine, including weapons, training, and intelligence, but has stopped short of deploying American troops to the country. This approach reflects the administration's desire to support Ukraine while minimizing the risk of escalation. Section 7. A Trump return. What fate for Ukraine? A potential return of Donald Trump to the presidency in 2024 raises significant questions about the future of U.S. policy toward Ukraine. Trump's past statements and actions suggest that he would likely adopt a different approach to the conflict, potentially reducing U.S. involvement and seeking a rapprochement with Russia. This prospect has generated considerable anxiety among Ukraine's supporters. Trump's skepticism about U.S. involvement in the Ukraine conflict is well documented. He has previously questioned the wisdom of providing extensive aid to Ukraine and has expressed a desire to improve relations with Russia. A Trump presidency could therefore lead to a significant shift in U.S. policy, potentially leaving Ukraine more vulnerable to Russian pressure. The impact of a potential Trump presidency on the Ukraine conflict would depend on several factors, including the evolving dynamics of the war, the political climate in the U.S., and the responses of other countries. It is possible that Trump could pursue a policy of disengagement from the conflict, reducing or even ending U.S. military and financial assistance to Ukraine. Alternatively, Trump could attempt to negotiate a settlement with Russia, potentially involving concessions on Ukraine's territorial integrity. Such a scenario would likely be met with strong opposition from Ukraine and its allies, but it is a possibility that cannot be ruled out. The uncertainty surrounding Trump's potential approach to the conflict underscores the high stakes of the 2024 U.S. presidential election. Section 8. Global Implications, a World on Edge. The Russia-Ukraine war has profound global implications, extending far beyond the immediate conflict zone. The war has destabilized international relations, disrupted global supply chains, and triggered a humanitarian crisis of immense proportions. The conflict has also raised the specter of nuclear escalation, creating a sense of unease and uncertainty around the world. The war's impact on global energy markets has been particularly significant. Russia is a major supplier of oil and gas, and the conflict has disrupted energy flows, leading to price spikes and shortages in many countries. This has had a ripple effect throughout the global economy, contributing to inflation and exacerbating existing economic challenges. The war has also had a major impact on food security, particularly in developing countries that rely on imports of grain from Ukraine and Russia. The conflict has disrupted agricultural production and exports, leading to food shortages and price increases. This has worsened existing food insecurity and raised concerns about the potential for famine in some regions. The conflict has also exposed vulnerabilities in global supply chains, highlighting the interconnectedness of the global economy. The war has disrupted the flow of goods and services, leading to shortages and delays in many sectors. This has underscored the need for greater diversification and resilience in global supply chains.